Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity, and business. Today's podcast is the audio recording of our latest free webinar, which took place on Thursday, the 1st of June, where Jo took us through all her great tips and insights on how to use If This Then That to become way more productive and efficient. Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us here today. It's a beautiful day here in Cornwall. I hope it is wherever you are too. I'm dead excited today because I know Jo's going to do a great presentation, and this is her debut presenting the webinar. So you can all say one day you were there the first time that Jo Harrison, the expert VA, client manager at Positive Sparks, did her first webinar. So, a couple of bits of etiquette. You are all muted, which is probably not how we'd have it ideally, but it helps the webinar flow a bit nicer. If you do have a question, please let me know in chat. I will keep my eyes on it. And I will unmute you when the time comes, when Jo has a little break, and you can ask your question. When you do so, please introduce yourself. Let us know what you do. Give us your web address as well. You'll get some free promo both on this webinar and on our podcast, because the recording of this will be our podcast for the week. So take full advantage of that and enjoy all the great things that Jo's going to do. So there we go. There's Jo's. Is that Hatchie or Benson?
That's Benson.
That's Benson.
Are you Benson?
So we might get one or two little questions asked by Jo's dogs, and why not? But let's all enjoy this. So Jo, over to you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good to see some new faces again in the webinar this month. Okay, so we're going to get straight in here so I can get to the end really quickly before my dog ruins the whole webinar. So we're going to look at using If This Then That, which is shortened to IFT, to save time and improve your productivity. I've been using IFT for a couple of years now, and it's proved to be really useful in the way I work each day. And I have quite a few applets running, which I tend to forget about because it's all done automatically in the background. So what we're going to go through on this webinar is what is IFT and how it works. Look at some of the common IFT applets that would hopefully save you some time and improve on your productivity. And hopefully we'll be able to create some custom applets. I'll go through a couple of those to show you how you can create, obviously custom ones that are for you, for your specific apps that you use. And then at the end, hopefully I'll be able to go through some of your favourite apps and tools, which you've given me some to go through on Facebook, on the Facebook group. And we'll look at what applets can be set up for those. And as Phil said, if you've got any questions, just let him know in the chat, and hopefully we can answer them as we go through or at the end if Phil doesn't want to interrupt me. Okay, so what is IFT? Okay, so IF stands for If This Then That, and it's an automation tool that connects two services. So basically, if something happens on one of them, then an action is taken place automatically on the other service that you choose. So the services are the apps and devices that you use every day, and on IFT there are lots and lots and lots of applets that you can just turn on. So you don't even need to, you as long as you're connected to that service, you can just turn them on and they'll just work after you've chosen a few settings. And obviously an applet brings the services together, and as I've put here, to create new experiences and to save you time basically and improve on your productivity. Has anybody used IFT in the past before I carry on?
As you know, Jo, I've had a quick go. And I tend to bounce between IFT and Zapier, which I know we're going to mention later. Elaine saying yes, that she has. Andre saying yes as well.
Great.
Andre's speaking to us from the border of Denmark and Sweden, so you know.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so a few people have used it before, so hopefully I'm going to show you a few different things on here. Okay, so basically how it works is when you go onto the IFT website, I'm going to switch over to the IFT website now because it's easier to explain while it's in action. If I can find it. Here, share my screen. So on the IFT website, and I particularly like this page, there's lots of collections of applets. So an applet is basically, it used to be called something else and I can't remember what it was called before. And you can see here there's lots of collections. So for example, I found one applet to start with, and it gives you a good idea, if my internet was a bit faster, the things that you can do. So for example, you can tweet your Instagram photos and native photos on Twitter, because if you try and share it from Instagram directly, I think it sends a link to Twitter rather than the actual photo. And actually that's one of the ones that I use. And there's things, save your Gmail attachments to Dropbox. So these are all applets. All of these down here are called applets. And I'm just going to go back to my presentation so I can continue with this. So what you do when you sign up for IFT, you will need to connect some services. And the services are the apps that you use, so such as Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google. They're the services that you would connect. And then you can create applets using those services. And there are hundreds and hundreds of services on IFT, and again on Zapier as well. I say Zapier, Phil says Zapier. We're not sure which one, which way it pronounced. And apart from the ones that you can switch on and they run automatically, the ones that are already set up on there, you can also create your own custom applets. And I explain here in the presentation how you do that, but I will show you that anyway. Okay. So some common IFT applets. So I've listed a few of the common services that people use on IFT, and I'm going to show you a couple of these on the IFT website. So what I tend to do when I'm using it is I think about what I'm looking to achieve, and then search for the particular app, the particular service that I want to use. So you can see Gmail's here already. So if you click on the Gmail service, it gives you lots of different applets that you can use already. They're already set up, and there is literally hundreds and hundreds of these working with different services. I mean, you can go on forever. So I'm going to show you a few that I think are really good. So this one automatically saves new email attachments that you receive in Gmail to Google Drive. So what you would do is you would just click turn on, and then it explains here what it actually does. So whenever you receive a new email in Gmail with an attachment, it will be automatically saved to a folder in Google Drive. Brilliant. I don't tend to have the receive notification on, because otherwise you'll just get notifications popping up everywhere, and that kind of defeats the whole saving time and productivity. So I turn that off, and then it explains here what will happen. So you get your email with an attachment, and then this email, the file will be downloaded to a given URL and added to your Google Drive, and it will go into this folder. So it will create this folder if you haven't already got it in Google Drive. You can change this as well. You can add extra ingredients, it says. So the subject of the email, for example, who it was from, and then you just click save. And as I have both of these services set up, it's on now, and it will check. It says this usually runs within an hour. I don't use Gmail though, so we can't test that one, unfortunately, for me, because I don't use Gmail. So that's a good one, I think, if you do use Gmail, which I know Phil uses Gmail, and it's a good way of, what I find is on any email service that you use, if you receive attachments from people on emails, they get lost really easily, and you end up having to search your email account looking for these attachments that they've sent you. So doing this means that in the background, it's all automatically in your Google Drive. You know exactly where it's going to be, so you can find it at a later date. Okay, so this is another Gmail one, which I thought was really good, if I use Gmail, obviously. And this actually schedules reminders for the following day when you star an email in your inbox in Gmail. So I'm not going to turn this one on, but it's in a similar vein. You can, when you star an email, I'm going to turn it on just to show you the settings. When you star your email, it will create an event in your calendar, and then it will obviously remind you the next day that you need to do that email. So you could star your email in Gmail and send it not to your calendar. You could send it to your to-do list, for example, or your reminder on your iPhone. So these can be customized. You don't have to actually use exactly what they want you to use on these. But the best way of doing that is by creating your own custom applet. And just getting ideas from these ones that are already set up. And that's what I tend to do. I look at them and think, oh yeah, I could do that. And I could do it with different services. So that's Gmail. This one is one that I have set up, which works really well. And I'm going to show you an example of this. And it's when I save a new article saved for later in Feedly, it creates a task in Todoist for me. So it can sit in Todoist and go, oh, I must read that article. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out. Hopefully it will work. So I'm in my Feedly account. And I'm just going to save this top one here to read later. Hopefully this is going to work. Fingers crossed. Go back to the applet. You can click check now, although this one usually runs quite quickly. It will check it. And then hopefully double check which one I've saved. Okay. Hopefully it's going to go into my Todoist. Let's have a look. It's not there yet. It's going into my inbox. And it will appear. I tested it earlier and it worked. And now it's not. Typical. Okay, we'll come back to that and see if it ends up in there. I'll come back to the applets that we're using. Sorry, flicking back through these screens isn't easy when you're trying to show one thing and another.
You're doing great.
Okay, so here's another one that I quite like the look of. So you can label an email as urgent in Gmail, and you can create a new Todoist task for today. I thought that'd be a good one for you, Phil, because you use it now, and it will go straight instead of asking me to put it in your Todoist, you could do it automatically. And then here's one on Twitter, which I thought was quite good. So when a specific hashtag is used on Twitter, it adds the tweet to a Google spreadsheet. So, for example, if you want to track what people are saying about your business or an event or a specific hashtag that you're keeping track of, you can set this one up and it'll go automatically into a Google spreadsheet, and then you can filter it obviously in spreadsheets and see what you sort of analyse the data there, which I thought was a good one. So this is another one that I've got set up with Google Calendar, and somebody asked me in my Facebook group about a You Can Book Me and whether we can use You Can Book Me, which is booking software on IFT, and the answer is no, you can't. But I have a little bypass which works just as well. So in You Can Book Me, when somebody books an appointment with me, the appointment goes automatically into my Gmail calendar, my Google Calendar. So what I've got set up here is every time I have a new event added to my Google Calendar, it goes to a task in my Dropbox, not my Dropbox, in my Todoist. So I can easily check on my Todoist list of tasks every day and see my appointments. And if I just share with you today quickly, you'll see I have my webinar here, and that's the one that's automatically come across from You Can Book Me via Google Calendar. So that was that's a good one, because it means I don't have to keep checking on my calendar, which is great.
I like how you've got washing up and doggy holidays.
I was trying to unshare my screen before you checked the other tasks on my list. Yeah, I had to put a reminder for my washing up, otherwise it wouldn't get done. Okay, so these applets are really great. I've gone through a few there. I mean, there are so many, and when I was preparing for this webinar, it was just really difficult to choose ones to show you. And what I would advise is, if you're looking for applets that you can use, is obviously, I said earlier on, is to decide what you want to achieve and then search through to see if they've got the services on here that you might want to use. I know Siobhan in the Facebook group wanted to know about New York Times, so obviously that's there. You've got all your common ones, Twitter, Facebook, even Facebook pages as well, which is useful to know. And Facebook, we have all Google ones on here, and you just can search for them really, and then it shows you all the different applets that you can have. I mean, you could spend days on here, and sometimes I do spend days on here trying to find better ways of working and saving some time with some of the tasks that I do every day. Okay, so now we're going to look at some custom applets, and hopefully I'm going to choose some which you're going to find useful. Okay, so you need to set up an IFT account, and I'm logged in here. If you go to My Applets at the top, you're going to see all my applets here. I have quite a few, and the ones that are greyed out are ones that I've used in the past which didn't really work, or I've changed them. So to do a custom applet, you would need to click on New Applet. And at this point, you need to decide what your what your trigger is going to be, which service you're going to use. So here, I'm going to choose, Google. We've done Google. I'm going to choose Dropbox. So then it gives you an option for the trigger. So you can either choose it to fire every time a new file goes in a specific folder, or every time a new photo goes in a folder. So I'm going to choose File. I'm not sure actually I've got Dropbox set up, but I'm going to choose, I'm just going to add a folder name here, a Zoom, and I'm going to create the trigger. So now every time a new file goes into that folder on Dropbox, I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to choose what it's going to do. And what it's going to do is it's going to go into I don't want it into a document. I wanted to upload it to Google Drive, but that's not going to work, so I'm going to have to choose something else. So I have a scroll down. I can see lots of things. What I'm going to do is go into Todoist, and I'm going to create a task, and I'm going to put it in appointments, because if it's from Zoom, then it's likely to be a webinar. Select priority, or most urgent. You can put a due date in here. You can add notes. And then you just click Create Action. Turn this off so you don't get notified, unless you want to be notified, obviously, and then you can leave that on and click Finish. And that's it. It's really simple. It's not difficult to set one up. And then what you need to do then is test it. And I recommend testing it before you kind of close the website and ignore it, because you might end up with something running that's not working properly, and you might end up causing more work for yourself. I had a Zap running on Zapier, which I hadn't checked, and I ended up with a Google spreadsheet with thousands and thousands of lines, which didn't make any sense. So definitely check to see if they're running. Okay. I'm just going to quickly flip back and save another one in Feedly to see if that works. Something's gone wrong with that one typically. Okay, so let's do another one. New applet. I'm going to do something on WordPress now, because I run a WordPress blog. I thought this one was quite good. So you choose your service that triggers. Now you can choose any new post, so every time you publish a new blog post, or you can choose a new post with a tag or a category. So I'm just going to choose any, and then I'm going to click that, and then I am going to put this. One of my clients asks me to update a Google spreadsheet every time he publishes a blog post, so this would really save me some time doing this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Google Drive, and I'm going to click Add Row to a spreadsheet, and what it will do is it will add a single row to the worksheet, and with the information that we're going to put in here. So in the row, it will be post published, the post title, the content, and the URL. Well, I don't want the content in the spreadsheet because it might be like thousands of words. So I've removed that part there. And then here is the drive, the folder where the spreadsheet will be saved. So again, it's if/WordPress. And just create the action. And finish. And And down here on the applets, you can see when it was last run. So if I go back to my applets, can you hear me okay? My computer's just told me I'm being unstable.
All sounds good.
Okay, good. Phew. Okay, so let me find one that I use on a regular basis. Okay, just this one, it's not really about productivity. When I achieve my daily Fitbit step goal, it tweets out on my Twitter, and this does it nearly every day. So you can see here, I created it in January, and it's run 77 times, and it was last run, the 28th of May. Oh, I obviously I haven't done my step goal this week. Whoops. So you can easily see on there, and if you wanted to change things, you can click on the little cog at the top, and then you can go in and amend it. So for example, the tweet text here, it's tagging Fitbit every time every time it goes out. They're probably going to get annoyed with me, but never mind. So yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Have we got any questions that I can answer while I'm flicking between screens, Phil, or not?
Well, I'm going to ask you, how many zaps, or shouldn't call them zaps, they're called applets, how many do you actually run?
What, me personally?
Yeah.
Well, we can go back and have a look. I don't actually know. Some of these I've just been testing for this webinar, so probably 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yes, 15, 16.
So you've got 15 and 16 doing different things in your working life, and by the sound of it with Fitbit, your daily life.
Yeah.
In general, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personal and business.
All together. There we are.
All together, yeah.
Which is the most useful, do you think?
For me, for my apps, is probably the appointments one that goes into my Todoist. Because I can add an appointment in Google Calendar, as well as it coming directly from You Can Book Me, and it's automatically on my Todoist task list for the day. So I open it up and I can see my appointments are always at the top, so I know exactly what appointments I've got.
Excellent, good stuff. So it makes you. That's why you're way more organised than I am.
The other one that is that has been running for a very long time is let me just show you on here, is a Feedly one, which is this one, My Business Blogs to Buffer. And what this one does is, you can see it's run 7,086 times since 2013. I created this. What it does is I have a group of blogs set up on Feedly, and every time one of these blogs publishes a new post, it automatically gets sent to my Buffer, my Twitter account on Buffer, because these are blogs and websites that I've followed obviously since 2013, and I always read their blog posts. So instead of me manually adding them to Buffer, it gets done automatically. And then a couple of times a week I'll just skim through Buffer just to double check that all the blogs that are going out are relevant to my audience.
Okay, great.
So that's my top one.
We have a question from Elaine. I was going to get her to ask it herself, but I think she's dropped out of the webinar. Connection. So she's asked, can we run IFT from one app to the same app? For example, dealing with emails in Gmail's inbox, when we can move them to a new folder after they've been read. Okay,
I think you can. I'm going to try it now. We'll do a test and answer the question. So let's have a look. Gmail. Okay. So new email in inbox from a certain person. That might be a useful one to use. Let's just put your email address in there.
Mm-hmm.
Create the trigger. Click that. Gmail. Let's see what option it gives us. It gives us the option to send an email. So I'm guessing maybe forwarding the email you've sent. I'm not sure. Action will send an email to up to 5 recipients from your Gmail account. So yeah, it looks like it's like a forward. So you could forward an email. It's not giving me the option to move it to a folder. I know that there are other apps, for example, Twitter. I think I've done Twitter before. Twitter to Twitter. You tweet by you. Yeah. So a new tweet by me, and then it will post another tweet, or you can send a direct message to yourself, or you could update profile picture. So yeah, you can use the same service on the this and the that.
Okay, great, super.
Okie doke. So we're going to look at, back to my presentation. We're going to look at the some of the services that people have mentioned in the Facebook group, and these are Spotify, New York Times, Slack, Google, which we've looked at quite a lot, and You Can Book Me, which we also looked at with the Google Calendar integration. So I'll have a look at a couple of these right now. And I haven't actually used the Spotify applets on here. I actually didn't realise they did Spotify on here until someone mentioned it. I didn't realise Spotify was an option.
Cool.
As you can see, I've not connected mine. So I'm just gonna go through really some of these that are already set up, rather than try and create a custom one, because I don't have it connected. So I like this one. If it works with Hue, and I've never heard of Hue before, but I think it's meant to do with your lights in the house, because you can, like, the Internet of Things. And this one, make your Hue lights colour loop when you add a track to your party playlist. I thought that was really
amazing.
So you could have like a party in your house, and your lights would be all disco lights.
Or if it's really chilled,
Yeah, exactly. You could to your chilled out playlist. You could have. Yeah,
what would be really funny is if you played a track, someone entered your house and your lights changed automatically.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Like the Darth Vader theme or something, if you didn't like them.
I think I'm going to have to get this Hue thing to sort my lights out. That would be great.
Looks good, doesn't it?
So yeah, there's lots of things with Spotify. So what I might do is I might test some of these, because I use Spotify. I have Spotify running pretty much all day in the background while I'm working. So if I could create some shortcuts there without me having to keep pressing play and pause, that would be great. So you've got automatically create a Discover Weekly archive, add songs played by Alexa to a Spotify playlist if you have an Alexa device. I thought Spotify was a good one.
Definitely.
So another one which was mentioned was the New York Times. And so again, there's lots on the New York Times. I don't look at the New York Times, but I'm wondering whether I should, because it seems to be quite popular on here. So you can create alerts from them. I saw one earlier which automatically, when a new tech news story comes out, it automatically emails it to you. This one, you can automatically post New York Times articles to a specific topic on Slack. I've used something similar to that to go to Slack before, productivity articles to a Slack channel. The list is endless, and if you know what you're looking to achieve, then there is probably an applet for everything. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, there's this one, publish e-commerce articles on LinkedIn, so you can automatically get these articles published to your social media. I mean, a lot of applets on IFT are based around social media. So if you do a lot of work in social media, then IFT can save you sort of loads and loads of time. And it saves me lots of time with social media, which is great. And I quickly mentioned Slack there. It's I don't actually have any Slack applets running, which is surprising because we use Slack quite a lot. But what I found is that you can see here that I've got 2 that I've had switched off. And I just find that I end up clogging up the Slack channels with these applets running. So, but there again, there are lots to choose from. This one will probably be quite good for you, Phil. Automatically post a daily reminder to a Slack channel. If you need reminding about something, instead of asking me, I could set that up for you.
You're calling me forgetful. Live on air. You're not forgetful. When I get a message saying, Joe, remind me about this, you could say, IFT, remind me about this. The weather forecast I find is quite good. I set one up the other day, which sends me a task into my Todoist inbox to tell me what the weather's going to be like for the day, so I know whether I'm going to get wet when I walk the dogs. That's good. So there's, I mean, lifestyle, business. There's plenty of options, and the good thing on here, which I've done quite a bit recently, is look at the collections that they have. Is it going to go back? And if you have an Android device, it's good. It doesn't work with iPhone at the moment, but there's one particular Android that applet that I saw, which is when you have a meeting scheduled in your Google Calendar, it will silence your phone automatically. And I thought that would be great, because obviously what my phone did just at the start of the webinar, if IFT could silence my phone, that would be great when I have a meeting. So if you click on collections, there's lots of different collections for various services. So you've got applets for Google, for iPhones, Android, outer space. I'm not exactly sure what you could do with outer space. It looks like emails from NASA. Get a weekly update from the International Space Station. Get a notification when an astronaut enters space. Wow, amazing. The news, weather, environment for marketeers, politics, social media. I mean, this is where I would say, if you're new to it, is to go onto some of these collections and just have a look and have a browse at what they can offer, because there's just hundreds and hundreds. And I keep saying that, but you could sit on here all day, and I know this webinar is about saving time and being more productive. So as I keep harping on about, you need to know what you want to achieve before you start setting these up. Okay, so we're coming to the end now, and I was going to have a quick look at Zapier, or Zapier. And basically, Zapier is the same as IFT, but they use apps instead of applets. And with Zapier, you can have more than one step to that Zap. So you can use more than 2 services. So you could say, if I post an update to Facebook, post it to Twitter, and then post it to somewhere else. So you can have more than one step, which
is really useful if you want more complicated integrations. And all the common ones are on there. So everything you find on IFT, the services you can find on Zapier mostly. And if they're not, then if they're not on IFT, then they're 99% sure. I'm 99% sure you'll find them on Zapier. There's hundreds. I'm just going to show you Zapier now quickly. Wrong screen. So here's Zapier, and I'm just showing you here the different apps on here, and some of the ones that people in the Facebook group have mentioned are on here and not on IFT. So, for example, Phil, you mentioned Facebook lead ads, which you've been using.
Yeah, very, very useful. It helps us integrate Facebook lead ads with MailChimp or any other email gateway. So definitely a great tool for us.
Yeah, and as you can see, that's a premium one, so you wouldn't be able to use that on a free account on Zapier. Do both versions. But if you look down the list here, you've got some which probably you didn't spot on IFT, for example, Eventbrite, which again what we use, I think, with one of the clients. HubSpot, there's lots on here which you probably won't find on IFT. And that's great because you can use the two combined. But Zapier does restrict what you can do on a free account. So I think you can only have 2-step Zaps, and they can only be triggered a certain number of times in a day or a week, I think, if I remember rightly. So what I tend to do is if I want to set up an automation of some kind, I look on IFT. If I can't find it on IFT, I'll look on Zapier and see if it's worth doing, whether I should pay to get an account on here. The pricing of Zapier, if we just have a quick look, IFT is completely free, 100% free. Zapier is also free, but you can only make 2-step Zaps. And the next one up is $20 a month. And you can obviously make Zaps with 3+ steps and access to all of those premium services.
Cool.
So do we have any more questions?
Jill, do you recommend, if you're brand new to this, we have a couple of people who told me in chat they're brand new to IFT, would you recommend starting with IFT above Zapier? Or
yes, definitely.
Yeah,
because IFT is really easy to set up. The applets, I mean, you can do it in a couple of seconds. It's really easy. Whereas Zapier, I found when I've done them on Zapier, I get a bit confused and it's a bit more complicated. So if you can get on with IFT, and then you can move over to Zapier for some kind of the more complicated automation.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And where do you think these services are going to go? I noticed there was a couple of things there. For example, dimming our lights when we're listening to Spotify, or enhancing our lights. And there's another one which you get a weather forecast. Yeah. So what is their limitation, if there is any, and where are they going to go to next?
I don't think there is any limitations, to be honest. If something can be controlled by Wi-Fi or the internet or something like that, they're obviously going to they're going to create different services. Yeah, I think as far as if something can be controlled on the internet, and if the lights and your blinds and your curtains and everything can be controlled through the Wi-Fi, then I don't see there being any kind of limitations on what they can do.
We've got a question here from Jane, so I'm going to bring Jane in live, I believe. You're live now, Jane.
Hi, Joe. I just wondered, what's your favourite or most used?
Wow. The most used, I think the one that I pointed out earlier on, I'm not sure whether you were in here at that point, was the Feedly blogs, which go to my Buffer account, which go to Twitter. because I follow those blogs constantly, and that's where I get all my good content from. So rather than do it manually, it does it automatically for me and posts them straight into my Buffer account. And that's, as we looked earlier on, I think it's been used over 7,000 times.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What's your web address, Jane?
I have no idea.
Fair enough. No problem. Well, thank you very much for your question. I hope you're having a great day in France.
Yeah.
And today's webinar has been useful for you.
Yes, it has. Thank you. I need
Thanks,
to go back to the beginning though and catch up the bits I missed.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Phil.
Great. Well, Joe, I learned a lot from you then, myself. I learned a lot about how you manage what we do.
Yeah, there's plenty more I could do if you gave me a chance to set them up. If I had time.
If we had the space to do that. Cool.
Exactly. No, definitely. And it's I mean, yeah, start with one or two. That's what I advise everyone. Start with a couple and see how they run, and and go from there. Oh, I'm just going to quickly share my Todoist, because that article has actually popped up there now, as you can see. So what it is, it shows you the title and then it gives you the link, so you can literally click on that link and it will take you to the article from my Todoist.
Superb.
And that's how I so if I see an article in Feedly that I think, I want to read that, but not right now, if I save it to later, it'll go into my Todoist and then I can come back to it later on.
Fair enough. That looks really good. Nice and simple.
Yeah, easy one.
I like your purple Todoist as well.
Yeah, everything's purple or pink in my house.
Good.
As you can see, the pink behind me and my purple.
Well, that's about it, I think. I think we've done some great stuff there. Thank you very much, John, for the webinar. Thank you very much for everyone who attended, came in and out as we went through everything that you showed us today. And we shall look forward to seeing you at the next one, which will be July. So it might be even sunnier from Persia all the way down to the south of Portugal, which I know one or two people are into. So great things. Thank you very much. My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. And most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.